Welcome back, Spuds, to episode 2 of Astroneer. And in the process of getting this episode started, I made a little work on the base. I've gotten a lot more material, and I have now everything ready to go for our first expedition. I also made a little trip over here to the Blue Lands, because there's a certain tree that you can pick up. If I can find another one over here, I think I see one in the back here. Yeah, right up here. You'll see how there's a green flower in this tree here. If I mine this up, it will actually give you the resource that you need. And this is the plumber seed. And if you place it down, it'll make a big tree right next to the base for convenient harvesting. So I'm going to head back to base and show you exactly what it does, because this is actually our very first source of automation. So as you can see here, I already have a couple of the trees already planted. So all I gotta do, put it down, and then we're going to plant this, and then this small seed turns into a tree here. So for this, I'm going to need a single piece of aluminum, if I even have any of that. Actually, I don't. I'm going to go over and grab some quick. Wee! Miney, miney. I like to miney. This we're going to pay for 1,000 bytes. And with only one aluminum, we'll then create our actual first source of automation. Now, yes, this you would call automation, but I have to go out and get resources for it. It's a pain in the butt. So instead, we're going to be using, not the zinc, the aluminum here, right there, for the tapper. And then we're going to attach this on the trees here. And what this does is that this is going to start giving us a resource, and that resource is going to be organic. And this is for all plants. For this planet or in the future, the same thing you're going to be getting is organic. Now, you see as going really slowly. If you go to harder planets such as Glacio and Atrox, those will actually give you faster organic because it's a harder planet. But you can bring the trees back from those planets to this one. So that's our first source of actual automation. This is a very slow and painful automation, but it's automation. Then today, we are going to be using our spaceship to go to a new planet, and I actually already made us a solid fuel thruster, which is simple. It just uses one piece of ammonium and then one aluminum, and then this will provide us a two-way trip across space. Now, our first planet we're going to today is going to be no other than Desolo. This is the next planet in the solar system that we can go to. And we can get a new resource called wolframite, and we actually want this for our next set of machines. You can't get any gases here. It's very little atmosphere. It's a very easy map still, and the power for this is high solar, low wind. So we may actually want to consider bringing this with us, because we'll be able to constantly get sun over on that planet, and that will make it so that we have to use less of our resources to make, say, a generator, because this uses 2 units per second, but each of these solars create 1. So this actually balances out with using one of these, which then doesn't have to cost us any organic. So we're going to head over there, and we're going to be bringing back some very valuable stuff. But the first thing I want to do is go ahead and put one of these bad boys in here. So we're going to put that in there. Actually, you know what? No. We're actually going to be carrying this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my oxygenator and put it in here. Because if I put the oxygenator in the shuttle, then I can actually create tethers in new planets. Now keep in mind that this will actually stop the flow of oxygen across tethers on the current planet. But it's fine. We'll come back and everything will be all sorted. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself some tethers, and then we'll go ahead and get on our way. And Desolo is still an easy planet, so the chance of you finding compound on the planet is still pretty good. Except that if you get to the harder planets, you'll want to bring pre-made tethers, so that way you don't have to worry about having to find compound. If you're on Atrox, it's much harder to find compound that is on this planet, so you do want to have a backup in case something goes wrong. Alright, now with everything up in here and running, we're good to go. I'm going to also go ahead and bring a medium platform A, because this is going to be a great way for us to start bringing power and oxygen to our backpack from a single platform. So we're going to go ahead and launch our ship into orbit. If you're doing it into orbit, will bring you into orbit of the whole solar system here. And we're going to want to go to right here, Desolo, which is the moon for Silva. So not too far away. And yes, your planet, from here, we can choose where we want to set our ship at. So we're going to pick, really anything is fine. So we'll just pick up here. Generally, they're all in good locations. There's no bad location. It's cool if you can get one near a Stargate, but it's not a big deal if you can't. So it looks like here we have the new planet. First things first, I'm not seeing any kind of, there it is. Yes, here it is. Okay. So these things here are just like the purple plants down from below in Silva, except that if you get beneath these, they'll hurt you. Now, it won't kill you, but it will bring you down to likely 1 HP, so you just don't want to be anywhere in the area. I'm seeing a lot more of these boxes here, and this is requiring a new resource, actually. So, I might dabble on that a little bit later. But for right now, what we're looking for is nothing on the surface. We're going to be heading into the cave, which is why it was actually important that I were to bring a platform and the auctionator with us. Okay, platform down. We can go ahead and grab the auctionator. This works the exact same way as if we're on the ship. But also, in this case, we can do ahead and put this here, connect that, put this here, connect this. So now if I were to use any kind of power in my backpack, it will automatically drain it into my backpack from the solar panels here. So it's super helpful. Now, you do get normal resources on top, and they are quite valuable, a lot more valuable than the ones that you find on Silva, because the ones you find on Silva on planets are usually about 20. So pretty low. So this is actually a great source of finding more bytes. But I think we are going to start making our way down. There's actually already a pre-built cave here, which is kind of cool. And this here is a harder rock. So automatically right off the bat, we already are dealing with harder rocks, which means we're going to be needing to make a harder a drill mod at some point. And for us to combat this, we have to make a drill mod. But we don't exactly have that at the moment, so we're just going to have to deal with it. We can still break through it, it just takes a little bit longer. But we're going to head down here, we're going to start figuring our way to getting some wolframite. And here we are in the new cave, and it looks like here we've actually already found what we're looking for, which is super helpful. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to grab our storage, and we're going to open this up, and we're going to be putting our samples in there. But first, let me go ahead and get some tethers so that way I don't die here. That would be just tragic. But a key difference for why you want to having your auctionator on a platform with some solar or wind turbines is because if you put it on the ship only gives you half a unit of energy per second. It's very, very small. But if you do this way, you'll still get oxygen, and the tethered oxygen carries the power for you. So you can get a lot more power, and you can adjust it. You can adjust on here if you get better, if you can get a better spaceship. But generally you want to be put on a platform so that we can use it. The only issues though is that we're not going to be having this when we go back home. We're going to be bringing back the samples from down there, so we're not going to be bringing this. We're actually going to leave this behind at some point. I was very lucky and I found these right here, the solid fuel jump jet. This actually gives you 50 boost of jumping, which is super helpful if you're stuck somewhere or you like to get hurt, either or. But generally really cool to have if you can find those, because it does help you traverse through the caves, and on land it's so much easier. There's actually a lot here, holy crud. Wow, that's definitely enough, right? Holy crud, okay, cool. I'm gonna grab a little extra, like dumper tethers that I'm not gonna be end up using, because at this point I've already gotten what I needed. So I want to be carrying as much as possible. I'm going to drop all of those, even the soil, because I already have a good path up. So I'm gonna go ahead and make. Go ahead and use this. Go ahead and get another tether going, please. Thank you. There we go. Cool. And I can go ahead and get 5 more. Nice. But this will be used for our next machine, which is going to be allowing us to combine two elements together, which would be incredibly helpful for even better machines in the future. Alright, now we have what we need. We're going to go ahead and go back. I actually see a little more over there, I think. But the good thing with these kind of plants, so you're going to see common materials. You're going to see on every planet compound, resin, quartz, aluminum, because you kind of need almost all of those to get from planet to planet. And then every single planet has different kind of resources. So this, for example, has wolframite. You're not going to find wolframite on Silva unless you were to call it in using scrap, which will be for a whole other video. But this is a great way. Oh. Man. I would actually rather like to bring these instead. Now, we're at least behind because this is actually really cheap to make. We actually already have the schematic in our inventory here, right here. So it's just ceramic and aluminum. As you know, ceramic is used or is made with a furnace and some clay. So super easy to make. But now, that's it for this planet. And it's kind of like the gist, right? So the goal is to, at some point, stop by all the planets, get resources. You can generally find, I believe, at least one of every unique material on 2 different planets. So you're gonna have a lot of options to choose from. So let's go ahead and make our way to our base. You can go ahead and use W and S to increase your speed. But your home here is marked by the home. If it's just a normal landing site, you'll know because there's a lot more that look the exact same. Okay, so now we're at home, and you'll see that our thruster here is now salvage, which we're going to use this in the future whenever we work on scrap. So for right now, we're going to have a little, you know what, I'll put it over here because this is the pile of despair, I would call it. And then I'm going to go ahead and get myself a little bit of ceramic going. I also just realized I had this thing turned off, so if you place it down, it won't start working. But if you start putting it down and then you toggle it on, it starts working. And you see it's going a lot faster than it was earlier. So you can get about 1 organic every single minute or so, which is actually pretty solid. But keep in mind that if you add too many tappers onto this tree, that'll actually decrease the amount of organic that you get because it's all from one tree. So the tree has, you would say, like a supply, right? And you can get about, in this case on Silva, a 20th of organic every second or so. And then that organic is split up amongst every tapper. So you have too many tappers, you don't have enough of the supply to make more organic, so it takes a lot longer for the same resource. So I would generally only have 1 tapper per tree, or a ton if you're going away for a long time. But generally, organic's kind of a cheap material here, but now it's finished, so I can go ahead and grab this, and then it's just all over again. And this is actually really powerful because if you can get another source of automation, aka the automation arm, I think that's what it's called. If you go down into your arm, auto arm here, aluminum and graphite, you can then grab the resource straight from here. You can actually make this into an automated power source where you can actually turn the organic into carbon, and then the carbon can be used in a medium generator, which will be found out in the future. It's actually why I wanted to get the tungsten, because it's actually useful here. And then for getting the wolframite, we actually already have a couple of quests done. So we have to parts unknown. We made the small shuttle. We put the oxygenator in the shuttle, and then we made the thruster for it. This gives us a QTRTG. This is actually really freaking helpful. We also got a field shelter and another thruster. So all these are super helpful. This right here is, I think, my favorite item in the game, because this gives you constant power. It's durable power source that requires no fuel management, which means you can put this in your backpack and you're always going to be getting fuel at all times. It's awesome to have. And then you got a field shelter, which works just like a normal shelter here, except that it's a bit smaller and produces, I believe, half the power. So these are actually really powerful if you're going to new planets and you don't have a beacon, or you just want somewhere to set up base quick. And because this is also going to be a waypoint on a planet, just like the home base in Silva is. So you actually can come back to here whenever you want to. And of course, a new thruster is really nice to have because it saves us in aluminum and ammonium. Now we also have some zinc here, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to my backpack here, and I'm gonna research something called is it a boost mod? A wide mod right here. So this will actually widen my digging range, but it'll also draw out power, which is actually why it's important to have the QTRTG as your power source. So let's go ahead and turn that bad boy into a wide mod, not a battery. There you go, wide mod. And this is actually super cool. So once it finishes crafting, it'll get turned to your backpack immediately. You can see their little icon on your gun right here. And this thing mines in an incredibly wide range. It fills up way faster and is super nice for having, let's say in this case, a bigger way down into the caves. So if I were to normally dig this out, the range is kind of small. It's about half the height of what the circle is here, aka the radius. But if I use this now, of course, if I can get a soil canister, that would be super helpful. But now if I use the tool with the wide mod, it makes it way bigger, more coverage. It mines a lot more resources way faster because of how big it is. It's super nice to have. Keep in mind that it will draw power as time goes on, so I would recommend carrying a battery or the QTRTG, or even just a normal power source, like for example, like a solar power source. If you're in the cave, it's probably not so helpful, so I would actually probably recommend you just carrying around a wind turbine, which you can also find in wreckages just like these solar generators. But that way you can have a constant power. So I have the ceramic here, and I have an aluminum here. Perfect. I can go ahead and make a new, where is it at? There it is, auctionator. So now we go to auction again. And this will be the end of this episode. So next episode, we're going to be focusing on turning the automation in the background there by the tapper into power sources, and then using our tungsten to make ourselves the chemistry lab. But until then, I will see you guys in the next episode in Astroneer.